Right now, tracking areas of snow here across the west. I'll let you know where we could see some lake enhancement tonight and how that could impact your Tuesday morning drive.
Today's snow created quite a challenge for drivers here in Cottonwood Heights, but there are positives to traveling in these conditions. Coming up, the improvements the state is seeing in Utah's drought.
It's been like a full month of this and we're loving it.
If you can't get up there safely, you usually don't end up having a good time anyway.
Some encouraging news for drivers looking to hit the canyons after they were closed for hours earlier today.
I got people laying on top of me, shattered glass underneath me. I got a dislocated shoulder on it.
And tonight, hear from passengers who were on this bus as it crashed in Tremonton. Plus details on those who were hurt.
Did Al Capone really say Ogden was too rough a town for him?
About the 1920s.
A look at the historic 25th Street and its incredible past.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Our top story tonight is the weather. Utah's Weather Authority told us over the weekend it was going to be dicey on the roads today, and sure enough, Mother Nature delivered. Kelly.
We do have team coverage for you tonight, starting with meteorologist Allison Krogan. Allison, what can everyone expect as we get deeper into the night and into tomorrow morning?
That's right. So we have some more snow on the way, but brand new snow reports just coming in. If you're wondering how this storm has shaped up so far, 21 inches for Alta and Powder Mountain, for Brighton 18 inches, for Canyons at Park City 13, Heber City 7, Alpine 6 inches, Kaysville 6, and for Harriman 4 inches of snow. 32 degrees here in Salt Lake, 31 for Ogden, 28 degrees in Provo. As we look at our current conditions on satellite and radar here across the state, we are still seeing a little bit of enhancement off of the lake, and that continues to bring down some areas of light snow. Now, of course, we've seen some heavier snow that has moved through today, and we are not done with our heavy snow quite yet. We look at the bigger picture here. We're going to head into a little bit of a lull overnight, and then things are going to get going again tonight after midnight. So temperatures in the upper 20s through much of the night here in Salt Lake. When you wake up tomorrow morning, around 25 to 30 degrees. We're really not going to cool down a whole ton tonight for the Wasatch Front, but it will be cold at Bryce Canyon tomorrow morning, 0 degrees at 7 a.m. We'll talk more about. We're going to see several more bands of precipitation moving through. We're going to see potentially some more heavy snowfall tomorrow that could impact your drives. And also I'll let you know how much more we're expecting at the resorts and in your backyard.
Allison, thanks so much. Neighborhoods on the east side of the Salt Lake Valley, including Cottonwood Heights, are experiencing strong bursts of winter weather, taking a toll on the roads.
They've been slammed all day. We continue our team coverage now with Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser live in Cottonwood Heights to show us what conditions look like right now. Emily.
Kelly, Bob, I'm here near Fort Union Boulevard and 2300 East, where the snowfall has just been back and forth all day. One moment it's completely clear, and then the next it's just nonstop fluffy snow. But all this weather, it's so good for the drought, for the environment. Just within the last month, extreme drought conditions have improved 15%. Monday's sporadic snow blanketed the streets and sidewalks of Cottonwood Heights. And although some people see it as work,
I try to pay it forward every now and again, you know.
Others see it as play.
Right now, we're trying to shovel our driveways and build the fort at the same time.
The whiteout conditions made for a winter wonderland for kids getting out of school.
It was really hard to get down. It was super slippery. We have a little window in our 6th period, and it was just gusting snow outside.
As fun as it is for them, it's a different story for the parents who had to drive in it.
And I've got a 4-wheel drive vehicle, popped it in 4 low, and still couldn't get up the street, slid backwards. I've experienced that in the 2 years I've lived here.
Perfect snow for packing a fort and packing the snowpack. The Utah Division of Water Resources says it's 150% above average for this time of year.
So this black line is this year our snowpack that we have received so far, and this green line is kind of the average of what's typical.
Drought coordinator Laura Haskell says Utah is already at 1/3 of where the snowpack needs to be.
This last snowstorm gave us about 1/2 inch of water, and so, but we need like 15 inches for the year.
She says it'll still take years to get out of this drought, and it's not only up to Mother Nature.
Everybody's part of the solution, everybody's part of the problem.
Water conservation is so much more than just monitoring your sprinklers in the summertime. Even with the snow, you can help out in the winter. You can check out the state's website, slowtheflow.org, to look up tips on how to watch your water usage. Reporting live in Cottonwood Heights, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Emily, thanks so much. Further east is where we find Fox 13 News anchor Brian Schnee tonight.
Brian joins us live right at the base of Big Cottonwood Canyon. Brian, looks like things have maybe settled a little bit now after some heavy snow earlier today.
Kelly, good way to put it. It's definitely lightened up here a bit. As Allison was mentioning, seeing some sort of a lull. That's kind of what we saw for about an hour or so. Maybe things will pick back up here shortly. But this storm system moving through Utah really put an impact on Big Cottonwood Canyon today, meaning some really rough driving conditions. But the snow piling up at resorts is a welcome sight. Road conditions were dicey across parts of the state on Monday, including at higher elevations along the Wasatch.
It looks like we got a thin layer of ice underneath the top layer of snow, and it just caused the canyon road to become too treacherous.
With the roads closed, I took a ride up Big Cottonwood Canyon with Unified Police as they cleaned up a number of crashes. Dangerous conditions combined with the number of cars on the road forced UPD to shut down uphill travel for nearly 2 hours while UDOT crews worked to clear the snow and ice.
You can be doing everything right, and you're still going to have a problem.
Everybody's moving slower. There's some people that probably shouldn't be driving up in there. So that's why it took us an hour to get out.
In his first year back on the slopes after taking 30 years off, Dana has been out skiing a dozen days so far this season. Is it the price you pay in a Cottonwoods powder day, maybe?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You got to put up with everything else to get what you get, right?
With every resort in Utah open by mid-December.
This storm has been huge for us. We topped out at 18 inches on the day.
The early season snow is a gift.
Early snowfall is huge. Everyone, it's the holidays. The season just began. Everyone's itching to get out. And this early snowfall allowed us to, one, we opened earlier than we ever have before, clear back in mid-November. And then this snow allows us to open more lifts.
This has been amazing since day one. It's been like a full month of this, and we're loving it. Like, you look at the conditions up there, it can't be beaten.
Brighton is one of the few resorts in Utah with night skiing. What better way to kick it off on Monday than with a fresh dump of snow?
I'm hoping that every Monday's a powder day. Last Monday was a powder day. This Monday's a powder day. So hopefully next week, let's plan on it.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic.
If you could see the flashing lights behind me through the steady stream of cars coming down from Brighton's night skiing tonight, that means the traction law is in effect. It's put in place by Unified Police Department and Utah Department of Transportation. It's put in place only when the roads are bad, not in advance. So here's what it means in short. If you drive a 4x4 vehicle or an all-wheel drive vehicle, you must have correct tread on those tires. There's a specific amount they're looking for. And if you drive a two-wheel drive vehicle, chains are required. So if you'd like to learn more about those requirements, which are in effect right now, head to fox13now.com. You can find some more information in the article on our website. For now, we're live at the base of Big Cottonwood Canyon. Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Brian, thanks so much. More than 20 people were injured, 2 others left in critical condition following a bus crash in Box Elder County early this morning. Utah Highway Patrol reported the crash at 4:30 this morning on I-84 near milepost 35, which is about 7 miles west of Tremonton. UHP says the bus driver was reportedly changing lanes when they lost control of the Salt Lake Express bus because of slick roads in the area. The bus slid off the road and eventually rolled onto its side. Fox 13 News spoke with a handful of passengers who were visibly emotional, shaken up, and even injured after the crash.
Did a full 360, and then the bus went over, and I was on the side of the bus that turned up like that, so I fell down and smashed my head.
Just try to help as many people, you know. There was a dog on there, you know, and I guess that was somebody's emotional support pet, you know. So that also, you know, meant a lot.
Terrifying. Officials with Intermountain Healthcare say 19 people were originally taken to Intermountain's Bear River Hospital in Tree-Mountain. They say 7 patients deemed serious to critical condition were transported elsewhere, mainly to McKay-Dee Hospital in Ogden. Utah Highway Patrol says they are considering speed as a possible factor into the crash, something that will be determined within their full investigation of the incident.
A man is in custody tonight after an active shooter situation in Eagle Mountain this afternoon. It caused multiple schools to be locked down. SWAT teams say a man shot a family member in a house near Pony Express Parkway. Utah County Sheriff Sergeant Spencer Cannon says when deputies arrived, they found a 61-year-old victim had been shot in the lower abdomen. With the shooter still inside, about 70 first responders, including dozens of SWAT team members, convinced him to surrender without incident.
There was a lot of inconvenience to people who live and work in the area here. A lot of people who weren't able to get home right away. Parents worried about their kids in school. So a lot of impact on people in the area here. But it takes a situation like this in order to make sure that you have adequate security and protection for everybody involved.
The suspect will likely face criminal charges. The victim was flown to the hospital and is expected to recover. Utah now joins the push across America to crack down on TikTok. Why Governor Cox is banning the app from being used by state agencies.
Utah All-American Clark Phillips III announced he's declaring for the NFL draft, but will he play in the Rose Bowl? I'll have the details coming up.
And was part of Ogden's uniquely Utah history illegal?
There was so many holes and gaps and stuff that it wouldn't be safe for them to come in and try to fight the fire.
We'll take you on a trip down historic 25th Street. Lawyers presented closing arguments this morning in the civil trial over the 2020 death of Esther Nakajigo, who died in a freak accident in Arches National Park. The plaintiffs are asking for up to $9.5 million for the victim's mother and a little more than $1 million for her father. Nakajigo's widower is seeking up to $159 million. He was driving out of Arches National Park when the wind caught a traffic control gate that pierced the car and decapitated the 25-year-old Nakajigo in the passenger seat. She was a celebrity in Uganda who built hospitals and clinics there. The U.S. government has admitted liability, but today asked damages be limited to $3.7 million. Federal Judge Bruce Jenkins is expected to rule in the coming weeks.
Utah-based tech company Pluralsight is laying off 20% of its workforce, equaling hundreds of jobs. A post on the company's website says CEO Aaron Skonnard sent an email telling employees they would be notified individually. Skonnard cited a challenging economic environment for the layoffs.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Fans of Utah's Department of Wildlife Resources and UDOT's TikTok videos will not be seeing them anymore. Governor Cox has joined several other states in banning the app on state-owned devices. The order is effective immediately. The governor cited concern over cybersecurity threats. UDOT's TikTok account had more than 123,000 followers and had been taken down by this morning.
For a good portion of the day, we've been talking about heavy snowfall falling in parts of the states. And you may be in an area thinking, what? I saw blue skies today and it was really nice. What are you all talking about?
Pavement's dry at my house.
This storm is so skitter-scattered, these lake effect bands, Al.
So what we were seeing earlier today was just absolutely horrible driving conditions on the eastern part of the Salt Lake Valley, the East Side Belt, Cottonwood Heights, Southern Interchange, even out towards West Jordan, and then kept driving up towards the airport and things were just completely dry. So it really was a tale of just two different weather days, two experiences today. and we have some more precipitation on the way. But first, I wanted to start off with a picture from Sandy tonight. I love this picture. Stephen Knubel just posted this picture on Instagram, letting us know that we could use it tonight. Just really a nice scene out there. Thank you for sharing that with us. We don't have great visibility right now here across Salt Lake. This is a live look from the Natural History Museum towards downtown. We could see the skyline earlier today, but we've got clouds out there, some areas of snowfall. It's 32 degrees here in Salt Lake City, and we still have winter weather advisories for Salt Lake County, Weber and Davis counties. And then for the mountains of northern Utah, we continue with winter storm warnings through tomorrow. So periodic winter driving conditions expected through Tuesday, and some lingering precipitation is possible even into Wednesday, maybe even into Thursday. So tomorrow morning, we're going to have more of a northerly flow out of this storm. We continue with cold temperatures and a northerly flow through tomorrow night. Still some areas of snowfall. Then we cruise into Wednesday afternoon, and we're still going to have some snow going, potentially some additional waves into early Thursday, and honestly wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some lingering snow showers for the mountains even into Friday. So here are your main weather headlines. A brief break from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. tonight, but our winter storm is continuing. So it's going to start back up in the mountains after 2 a.m. We'll see organized bands of snow from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. tomorrow up in the mountains. But here in the valleys, we have the chance for a few areas of lake enhancement, plus just additional snowfall of 1 to 5 inches for our northern valleys, even more possible up in the mountains. Cold temperatures are going to last through the weekend, so we could continue with slick spots. Bridges and overpasses are an area that I would love for you to be careful just every single day over the next couple of days, as we could still see some icy areas out there. Right now, what we've been seeing tonight is just some storms coming off of the lake. Areas right now of snowfall. I-80 out near the airport. We actually had a crash at where we work out here past the airport that closed down earlier today, the overpass to get onto the highway. So you really got to be careful out there tonight. We are still dealing with some tough driving conditions, and heading into the next couple of days, we have some more potentially heavy snowfall on the way. For Salt Lake, things are going to get going after midnight tonight, and we're going to have more chances for tough drives tomorrow for your Tuesday. So at 7 a.m. it'll be about 20 to 30 degrees for the Wasatch Front with some areas of snowfall. Throughout the day tomorrow, you've got sunshine, St. George, you're great, but it will be cool the next couple of days in the 40s. But for additional snowfall here in Salt Lake, the different forecast models have potentially some high amounts. Right now, these different models are in agreement that we're looking at about 3 to maybe 6 inches of snow. Maybe even higher if we get on the high end of that. But we are going to continue with some big impacts from the storm off to our east. Temperatures in St. George, low 40s tomorrow, mid 40s Wednesday, Thursday, 40s this weekend. For Salt Lake City, 33 tomorrow, 31 on Wednesday, 20s this weekend. We'll talk more about that coming up in your Super 7-day forecast.
The founder of the collapsed cryptocurrency exchange FTX was arrested in the Bahamas on Monday, one day before he was set to testify before Congress. I'm Mather Rivera in Washington with that story coming up.
The founder and former CEO of failed crypto firm FTX has been arrested in the Bahamas. He is set to appear in court tomorrow.
The news comes as the entrepreneur was set to testify remotely before Congress about how his crypto exchange collapsed. Fox's Madeline Rivera reports from Washington.
FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested by Bahamian authorities after U.S. prosecutors filed criminal charges against him Monday. This marks a serious escalation as U.S. officials seek accountability for the multi-billion-dollar implosion of the now defunct crypto company.
It is just an enraging story, I think, to Americans across the spectrum.
FTX was one of the biggest crypto exchanges in the world. Last month, it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection after reports surfaced that FTX may have used customers' deposits to prop up Bankman-Fried's trading firm, Alameda Research. Bankman-Fried has since appeared for several interviews, insisting he didn't knowingly commingle funds.
He was painting this narrative of this sort of
aw shucks, I'm doing my best. I just don't know what happened.
Bankman-Fried was preparing to testify before Congress on Tuesday. The entrepreneur would have done so remotely, citing several reasons why he was unable to travel to Capitol Hill for his hearing.
I'm quite overbooked. It's very difficult for me to move right now and travel because just like the paparazzi effect is quite large.
And despite previously speaking with multiple outlets, he says he would be limited in what he could share with House lawmakers.
It was going to be frustrating and underwhelming in some ways because I just wasn't going to be able to answer questions that I would really want to be able to, and frankly really should be able to.
Earlier on Monday, Bankman-Fried said he didn't think he would get detained if he came to this country. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York says his indictment will be unsealed on Tuesday. In Washington, Malta Rivera, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The U.S. Department of Energy is expected to make a major announcement about clean energy tomorrow. Scientists at a lab in California have reportedly produced the first ever nuclear fusion reaction with a net energy gain. That means the process actually produced energy. And if true, it could eventually become a new clean energy source. Some analysts believe the use of fusion reactors could become widespread within the next 50 years, helping to reduce the use of fossil fuel.
The FBI says at least 8,000 people were the victim of a hate crime in 2021. That's according to data released today. In many cities, the number went up from 2020, and some cities reported a record-breaking amount of hate crimes. But the actual number of hate crimes is unknown. The FBI says there were no hate crime reports from about 1/3 of the country's law enforcement agencies. Officials say because of that missing information, it's impossible to get an accurate picture on the national situation. It was known as one of America's most dangerous streets a century ago.
Always something going on out there. Somebody'd rob a bank, you'd see him across the street.
Coming up, a look back into Ogden's historic 25th Street and its notorious past.
How much is Utah's housing market cooling off? That all depends on where you live.
Clark Phillips III is heading to the NFL, but the Utes hope they found his replacement. Smith Snowden made his announcement coming up.
Ogden's 25th Street was once known as 2-Bit Street and recognized as one of the most dangerous places in America.
Now, more than 100 years later, many of the same buildings and places are still standing. And it's that history that Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph dives into in tonight's Uniquely Utah.
Walk up and down 25th Street in Ogden. The coffee shops, stores, and restaurants comfort you into a sense of security. But 100 years ago, the street more or less looked the same, but with a very different feel.
The early days of 25th Street was really a rough and tumble street.
This street has had this reputation and this history of these wild, fun nights.
Known across the country.
You could write a letter and just address it 25th Street, and it would come to Ogden.
This was like this mega crossroads.
As a place you can find anything you wanted.
Ogden was always very open about its vices.
Even today, you can still see the evidence of that time.
And this is like a street that somehow was preserved.
But to truly know the history, you have to go back to the beginning.
Let's find a good... So that he was a bookkeeper in Collins and South, and then he lived at the Broome Hotel. This is all the clubs.
This is Sarah Langston. As the head of special collections at Weber State, her job has been to keep and archive, well, everything.
Photograph collections, manuscript collections, letters, scrapbooks, diaries that span from about the 1880s up to current.
And it all started here.
Because of the railroad, a lot of people from diverse backgrounds came into Ogden.
Ogden was only the third city founded in the West, and from the time the railroad steamed through, Ogden was dubbed Junction City. Anywhere you wanted to go, you had to pass through Ogden, which meant when the Roaring 20s kicked into high gear, it became big business.
Prohibition was just a blip on the map for Ogden. There's lots of articles and stories about moonshine steals and doing raids.
Arrests, scandals, and federal law had really no impact on stopping the town.
I always joke with people that I think it was easier to get liquor on 25th Street during Prohibition than it is currently.
All this attention came with some rumors that have persisted till today.
Oh, number one is the Al Capone quote. The quote that he came into Ogden looking to expand his business and walked up 25th Street and said, "This is too rough of a town for me." I have researched through anything I can find, get my hands on, and found no proof, no evidence that Al Capone ever came here.
While he may have said it in Chicago, that too is on shaky ground. Just like another rumor that a tunnel under 25th Street could take you from Union Station all the way up to the Ben Lomond Hotel.
They found no evidence of tunnels. What we think they were actually the connected basements for each of the buildings.
But no big secret tunnel or major mob connection made sense because Ogden never tried to hide its vices. Those in local government and law enforcement looked the other way when it came to those basement passageways. Opium dens and card games were frequent, and the 75 bars on the street turned into soda parlors with ingenious ways of hiding liquor in stills connected to pipes. So if you needed a drink, it would literally flow right out of the faucets. One of those places was the 200 block of 25th Street.
So this would have been about the 1920s. That used to be a brothel, so the brothel was up on this floor. And then down on this floor was a soda parlor / bootlegging. He was one of the ones that had a still in his basement with the pipes that ran up.
Hadn't been occupied since the 70s. There'd been a fire at some point, and I know the fire department was actually notified. Like if it caught fire, just let it burn, because there was so many like holes and gaps and stuff that it wouldn't be safe for them to come in and try to fight the fire.
This is Jared Allen, owner of that building, which now houses 2 bars, alleged and unspoken. Unspoken in true 20s fashion, a speakeasy. Jared started the project a decade ago with a mission to save everything.
So the bar over here is all old doors. This wall behind you is all doors. We saved the old radiators and put them to use. And actually, that's a door that was in here. We turned it into an art piece.
Remember those basement passageways? You can still see their outline, making you wonder what nefarious activity passed through these walls. One person who knows that time well.
I've been here now for 63 years.
Is Scott Van Leeuwen. He owns the Gift House, a business that's been around since those days.
This has been like my second home. Just about everything in here has a story.
At 17, he came in to buy a wedding ring for his wife. Since then, Scott has worked here every single day.
Ogden's oldest and friendliest pawn shop.
With a front row seat to history.
I've loved 25th Street my whole life, even when it was a rough and tumble town. As it went through its heyday, and I was kind of here for the heyday, I used to come to work I'd see a blood trail going up the street, going up the sidewalk. Always something going on out there. Somebody'd rob a bank, you'd see him across the street. It was just an amazing time.
The favorite activity, either on a date, a Friday night, or even with your family, was to drive down 25th Street, park, and then just watch what happened.
As it got older, it deteriorated, and as it deteriorated, you started to get a lot of stranger people coming in. We had a lot of ladies of the evening coming in.
And then once the railroad stopped coming through, the entire town just sort of crashed.
The thing that had brought Ogden so much life vanished.
You wouldn't want to go down 25th Street. That was where all the homeless lived. All the businesses and shops kind of left.
But something peculiar happened because of that. Everyone leaving meant no one wanted to build.
The buildings didn't get knocked down for a JCPenney's or a car dealership. They just stayed the dirty stuff that they were. And because they were there, now they had this amazing architecture to then preserve and bring back to life.
Jared is now one of many who work to restore these places instead of knocking them down.
You could walk down and see and be like, oh, that's where that was.
Today, the city and street thrive once again, maybe in a little bit different way. Gone are the days of bootlegging, with boutiques here to stay.
And 25th Street's now become a destination for people to come.
There's a lot of love for this street, and it's irreplaceable at this point.
Because it really is unique.
A uniquely Utah story that has stood the test of time through war, poverty, vice, downturns, and despotism, that now shines bright as a town stuck in time.
It's kind of amazing to watch as it happens. and to be part of it.
Spencer Joseph.
You know, it's not always glamorous, it's not always even legal, but
Fox 13 News.
it's still your history, and so you might as well just tell it.
Utah.
Great history. If that street could talk.
Yeah, if the walls could talk.
Still ahead, where are houses least expensive and most expensive in Utah? We'll show you.
And we'll explain what's being done in Iron County to prevent what happened with most people's mail-in ballots last month from ever happening again.
Plus, our winter storm continues making impacts as it moves off to our east. What's left for us here in Utah and what you can expect for your morning drive.
We do have an update tonight on a story in southern Utah. The Iron County Commission has passed a resolution on a 2-to-1 vote to take the first steps in ensuring that what happened with many people's mail-in ballots last month does not happen again. As we've reported, a majority of the ballots were packaged incorrectly and then mixed with other mail. The resolution would push for an opt-in system for mail-in ballots to prevent a repeat of what happened this past election. At the end of the day, only the Utah legislature can change how counties can handle elections.
We are learning that Utah bakery Brownies is closing its doors. Just a few months ago, Fox 13 News highlighted how the business was dealing with inflation and the rising cost of doing business. Today, they informed us they are no longer able to stay open and plan to close. Home sales differ dramatically depending on where you live in Utah.
The hottest housing market this fall was Summit County. On a per capita basis, 10 times more homes sold than in the slowest selling market, which was Iron County. Homes were also most expensive in Summit County, with the median price at more than $1.3 million. In Carbon County, the median price for a home was least expensive at $225,000. Fox 13 News' analysis did not include counties with fewer than 5 homes sold in the month of October or November.
Still ahead, there have been more fires in Salt Lake City's Ballpark neighborhood lately, and now residents are getting together to put a stop to it. We'll show you how.
Plus, there have been a lot of refugees that have moved to Utah this year. How you can provide a helping hand when we come back.
Utah defensive back Clark Phillips III is a consensus All-American. He made a big announcement today, and it's bowl week for the Cougars. Will quarterback Jaron Hall be able to play? We'll hear from Kalani Sitake coming up in sports.
Welcome back, everyone. Over the weekend, there was another fire at an abandoned house in Salt Lake City's Ballpark neighborhood, the same street in the past 2 weeks, the 5th fire on that street.
And now residents are coming together to put a stop to it. Tonight, citizens gathered at Roja Brewing to write letters in hopes of building a nuisance enforcement case against these homes. If successful, it could lead to these vacant houses being demolished and cleaning up blight in that area.
We have a problem with violent crime in the Ballpark community. Wouldn't it be great if we saw those homes gone and saw a reduction in gun violence? I think that'd be wonderful.
Salt Lake police have told the Ballpark Community Council they are looking for about 30 letters to move forward with this nuisance complaint. 16 people wrote letters tonight, so they're still looking for more people to help with the letter writing campaign.
Catholic Community Services of Utah is asking for the public's help to better support new refugees as they continue to settle into their new lives here in Utah. Over the past year, they've helped resettle about 700 refugees coming from places like Afghanistan and Ukraine, all to escape war. And while Catholic Community Services is helping provide basic services like housing, employment, and health care, they're also looking to get refugees supplies that a lot of us take for granted.
We're looking a lot of things that will help these families during the holidays, especially any household items, and furnishings and, clothing, things like that. Actually, we don't take clothing, but, if people want to buy, things for during the holidays, they could bring gift cards.
Catholic Community Services is also asking for monetary donations. If you would like to purchase any items in particular, you can go to the group's Amazon wish list, which is linked on their website, ccsutah.org.
Salt Lake City radio station Cable 93 has collected a semi-truck full of food donations. They're also gathered nearly $20,000 in cash through the Horns Up for Hunger Camp Out food drive. Last month, radio hosts Lexi and Banks camped out in front of 3 grocery stores for a total of 40 hours.
People are struggling everywhere, and especially our active duty military and veterans and their families. There's a gigantic need for these people to get our support and our thanks and gratitude.
The donations were used to fill up the food banks at Dugway Proving Ground, Camp Williams, Hill Air Force Base, and the VA Food Bank in Salt Lake City.
Strong, heavy bands of snow have been dominating the weather talk here throughout the state all day long, Allison. Man, some areas are just getting pummeled, and it's so weird because it comes down so heavy and then it completely stops.
That's right.
Then it starts again.
It's definitely been scattered in nature today. So for those of you who have had commutes, part of your commute was probably fine. Part of it was potentially horrible earlier today. And tomorrow and the following day, we do have some more chances for snow on the way. Let's go ahead and talk about some travel impacts for tomorrow morning. More chances for snow, potentially heavy at times, particularly for the mountains from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. tomorrow. Throughout the day, we very well could see some more showers again for the evening drive. We'll also have some areas of fog here across the region, southern Utah, and then into Nevada as we head into the next couple of days. And then we head into Wednesday. This is Wednesday at 5 p.m. and we still have some more chances for snow here across the state. Thursday morning, another brush by is possible with still some areas of low visibility. So for tomorrow morning, we've got some light snow possible for the morning drive, turning to potentially heavier snow mid-morning, and by tomorrow evening, more chances for snow showers. So right now here along the Wasatch Front, we have seen some enhancement off of the lake, and we're going to continue to see that as a possibility as we head into the overnight hours. It's not going to be likely full-on lake effect of super organized bands, just some enhanced showers that are going to be possible. But into the overnight hours, we're mainly going to hit a lull from about 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. and then we'll start seeing some things picking up again. So for Salt Lake City, we're this red line. We're going to see at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning widely scattered chances. But then we get into the morning drive, we're looking 6, 7, 8, 9 a.m. We've got numerous to potentially close to widespread precipitation through the lunchtime hour. Then things will start to go down a little bit during the evening, but then we're still in that scattered category throughout the day. Now, our additional snow totals from now for the next 48 hours, so through Wednesday evening, we've still got that chance for some snow, mainly I-70 further north. As we go ahead and zoom in for you towards the Salt Lake City area, this darker blue that you're seeing, this is 3 to 6 inches of snowfall for the mountains. We could potentially see a few areas with more than 6 inches of snow as we head into the next couple of days. So that's through Wednesday night. St. George 42 tomorrow, 45 on Wednesday. We'll keep you in the mid-40s throughout the weekend in St. George. For Salt Lake, 33 tomorrow, widespread snow. Scattered snow on Wednesday, by Thursday widely scattered, and then mid-20s this weekend. So some very cold temps are ahead. Our precipitation chances are going to die down this weekend, so we're going to see a drier trend, and then we likely have some more active weather next week.
Utah defensive back Clark Phillips III announced he is declaring for the NFL draft. A Utah athletic spokesperson told me he is not going to play with the Utes in the Rose Bowl. This news comes on the same day he was named a first-team All-American by the Associated Press, his 6th All-America honor for this season, making Phillips the 11th player in program history to be a consensus All-American after recording 6 interceptions this season and returning 2 for touchdowns. Phillips a potential first-round draft pick in the NFL. Utah tight end Dalton Kincaid was named to the AP All-American third team. He leads all FBS tight ends with receiving yards, but like Phillips, Kincaid announced yesterday he will not play in the Rose Bowl due to an injury as he continues to rehab and prepare for the NFL draft. The Utes hope they found a replacement for Clark Phillips at cornerback, one of the top recruits in the state. Smith Snowden announced today he is committed to play for Utah. The 4-star recruit helped Skyridge win their first ever state championship this season. He had 6 interceptions, 2 pick sixes, and 2 kick returns for touchdowns. His father played at BYU, and they were among the 22 schools who offered him a scholarship, but in the end, he chose Utah.
The thing that stood out to me the most about Utah football is the fact that I knew every defensive person on the staff, but also every single offensive person on the staff. That was a really good moment for me, just knowing that I have a whole staff behind me. Utah is going to that back-to-back Rose Bowl and back-to-back Pac-12 championships. I think they're this close to just getting further than that. When you watch them play, you can just tell they're like family-oriented. Just the culture they built there that Coach Whittingham built was just really special.
It's game week for BYU. The Cougars will play SMU in the New Mexico Bowl this Saturday. Big question for the Cougars is starting quarterback Jaren Hall ready to play against the Mustangs? Head coach Kalani Sitake said Hall is still in the mix to play, but he's still banged up with an ankle sprain he suffered in the Cougars' win over Stanford in the final game of the regular season on November 26th. But whether or not he plays this week is still unknown.
Jaren has not been eliminated from contention to play, so there's that, and he hasn't been participating as much as we'd like him to be in practices, but this week will tell. If there's a chance that he can play, he wants to. If you guys know anything about him and his competitiveness, he wants to get on the field and play. But it's our responsibility to keep him safe, knowing that he has potential to play at the next level and to make sure that he does it the right way.
Yeah, these guys have so much on the line financially in the NFL in the future. You can't blame them for looking out what's best for them when they move forward, for sure.
Yeah, it's still, though, a hard decision, right, for those guys.
And with the quarterback for BYU, Hall, he wants to play, just as injured.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
We'll be right back. Finally, he told us whether the price was right for decades. Today, legendary game show host Bob Barker celebrated his 99th birthday.
Wow.
Hosted The Price is Right for 35 years until his retirement in 2007. Before that, it was Truth or Consequences. He was on the airwaves for nearly 60 years.
Wow, what a career. Happy birthday,
Bob.
Stick around. Quick Cast is next.